Internet rumors about a motorcycle club coming to the city as it deals with gang problems in some neighborhoods.
Bullets and hammers flying as people stop to get gas during a road trip. 16 people face federal charges in connection with a motorcycle gang rivalry.
A prominent Hells Angels figure will soon be released from prison. Former biker gang president Joseph Lancia was taken into custody after attending the wake of...
Been pretty quiet all day, just a slow trickle of bikers until about an hour ago when we saw about 36 outlaw bikers from Quebec.
The Hells Angels have a reputation, and not always a good one. For decades, they've been labeled outlaws, criminals, and gangsters. Some of those labels might be fair. Many members have been convicted of serious crimes. But those labels don't tell the full story. The truth is, the Hells Angels operate under a strict code, one that has been in place since their origins in 1948. The club was founded by restless World War II veterans who weren't built for the quiet life of peacetime. They needed something that felt like a brotherhood, something with structure, risk, and honor. And with the abundance of cheap, surplus motorcycles, they found their answer. The name Hells Angels wasn't pulled from thin air either. It was borrowed from bomber squadrons known for their daring missions in the war. Like soldiers, the Angels live by a code that, if broken, can mean exile or worse. It's not just about riding bikes. It's about loyalty, discipline, and a life lived by rules that outsiders could never understand. People assume that joining the Hells Angels is as simple as buying a Harley and rolling up to the clubhouse. But if it were that easy, the club wouldn't have lasted this long. Becoming a full-patch member is a grueling process, often taking years, sometimes even a decade. Before someone can even be considered, they must have been personally acquainted with a full member for at least 5 years. That's just to get their foot in the door. From there, they can be voted in as an official friend, but only if they have a sponsor and receive unanimous approval from the chapter. Then comes the hang-around phase, where they spend time with the club but have no real status. If they prove themselves, they move up to prospect, meaning they're almost there, but not quite. A prospect isn't a full brother. He's tested, pushed, and watched closely. Only after years of proving absolute commitment does a final vote take place. One no vote, and it's all over. The Hells Angels don't just let anyone in. The only people who make it are the ones willing to give everything for the club. The Hells Angels aren't just a motorcycle club, they're a brand. Their patches, their logos, and their insignia are sacred. And they protect them with everything they've got. The iconic Death Head logo isn't just a design, it's a badge of honor. And it's copyrighted. That means no one outside the club is allowed to wear it. If you see someone rocking Hells Angels gear without being a member, there are two possibilities. They're either incredibly ignorant or incredibly stupid. Because whether through legal action or something much more physical, the club will make sure that person never wears it again. Members take their patches seriously. They wear them on their vests with pride, and when they're together, they have to wear them. It's a sign of unity, of strength, and of identity. And it's a symbol they'll fight for without hesitation. If there's one rule that matters more than any other, it's this. Always back your brothers. Loyalty isn't optional. It's the foundation of the club. No matter what happens, no matter the situation, a member stands by his brother's side. This rule isn't just spoken, it's tested. Former Hells Angels president George Christie learned this firsthand in 1976 before he was even a member. He was a prospect at the time, still earning his place, when he found himself in a bar with the Los Angeles chapter president, Old Man John. A random guy in the bar rubbed John the wrong way, and instead of walking away, John beat him down and held a knife to his throat. But the moment wasn't about the guy on the floor, it was about Christie. Would he flinch? Would he question his future president? Would he step back or look away? He didn't. He stood firm, proving his loyalty without saying a word. That's what the Angels look for. Not just toughness, but absolute unwavering brotherhood. You don't hesitate, you don't question, and you never, ever turn your back. Meetings are a crucial part of the Hells Angels operation, but what happens inside stays inside. Business is discussed, decisions are made, but there's one topic that never comes up: illegal activity. No one talks about it, no one admits to it, and no one acknowledges it. Even though law enforcement labels the club as a criminal organization, the Angels refuse to make it easy for them. George Christie once said that the police prefer to target the club as a whole, rather than individual members. That's why secrecy is key. The club operates like a fortress, impossible to infiltrate. No one speaks out of turn, and no one invites outsiders into their world. Because once someone does, it's only a matter of time before the whole structure crumbles. Hell's Angels don't just ride, they ride in formation. Every ride follows a chain of command, with the chapter president leading the way. He takes the most dangerous position at the front, closest to oncoming traffic and potential hazards. The vice president follows behind, then the road captain, then the sergeant-at-arms. After that, it's a free-for-all. The rest of the pack jostles for position, fighting for space like an unspoken race. And at the very back, that's where the prospects ride. The lowest rank in the club, always at the tail end, proving their place. One rule stands above all. No one gets left behind. If a brother gets pulled over or breaks down, the whole pack stops. Because riding together isn't just about the road, it's about the bond. There are rules about who can join, but there are also rules about who can't. And some disqualifications are absolute. No child molesters, no rapists, no one with any connection to law enforcement, past or present. Even applying to become a cop or a prison guard is enough to blacklist you forever. The club demands total loyalty, and you can't serve two masters. The Hells Angels don't trust authority, and they don't let their own become part of it. If there's one rule that has never been flexible, it's this: snitches are the enemy, and the punishment is absolute. Loyalty is everything in the Hells Angels. The moment someone turns rat, they cease to exist in the eyes of the club. Sonny Barger, one of the most influential figures in the club's history, made it clear. The ones who talk the loudest about their loyalty are often the first to betray it. They act tough, they swear their undying love for the club, but the second they're facing real consequences, they fold. And when they do, there's no forgiveness. The club has ways of dealing with rats, and they don't involve second chances. Law enforcement has spent decades trying to turn members against each other, offering plea deals and protection programs. But the club is built on an unshakable code brotherhood above all else. If you break that, you're done. Not just kicked out, you're erased. Being a Hells Angel isn't just about joining a club, it's about giving yourself to something for life. There's no retirement. There's no walking away with good graces. Once you put on that patch, you're in it forever. And if you ever leave, it better be because you're in a casket. Some members have been forced out over the years, either for breaking the rules or because legal trouble made it impossible to stay. But leaving doesn't mean just taking off the vest and calling it a day. Some have had their Hells Angels tattoos burned off, an excruciating, painful reminder that they no longer belong. Others have been permanently exiled, cut off from the only family they've ever known. George Christie, one of the most well-known former members, thought he had left on good terms. He even gave his reasons and expected mutual respect. Instead, he found himself blacklisted, ignored by men he once called brothers. That's the reality of the club. You don't quit. You either stay in or you get wiped from existence. The Hells Angels have spent decades keeping their business out of the public eye. And that's not about to change. If there's one thing they don't tolerate, it's outsiders digging into their world. Reporters trying to cover the club get nothing but silence, and anyone dumb enough to ask too many questions is met with cold stares and turned backs. In 2009, at their summer rally in Minnesota, journalists tried to blend in, hoping to get a closer look. But the moment the Angels noticed the cameras, everything stopped. Conversations went quiet, backs were turned, and the message was crystal clear: respect our privacy or get lost. Sonny Barger himself admitted that there are rules in the club that will never be made public. Some things are meant to stay within the brotherhood. The world can speculate all it wants, but the only ones who truly know the rules are the ones who live by them. Women play a role in the club, but they can never be full members. They can be girlfriends, wives, and even spies gathering intelligence on law enforcement and rival gangs. But when it comes to the club's core operations, it's a men-only world. Hells Angels have no problem with partying, but even that has limits. Heroin and needles are banned outright. No smoking during meetings, no spiking drinks. Even stealing from drug dealers was once forbidden. Because while they might break the law, they still have standards. Like, comment, share, and subscribe for more untold stories.